Well, hello and welcome to the amazing Tradies Business Show. We're coming to you from the Gateway Motel in Rutherford, the Hunter Valley, New South Wales. We'd like to thank them for allowing us to use their space, the Function Centre, as sponsors of our show. Today, we're talking about team. What is a team? What are the issues? How do you improve your team? And some actions to take away to help you improve the teamwork in your business. And I'm joined by two people today. First of all, we've got Neil Osborne from the Sales Catalyst in the hair and beauty industries. Welcome, Neil.
Welcome. Great to see you guys. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. And Michael Trimblett, who's the General Manager of Loyal IT Solutions, an IT company based on the Central Coast of New South Wales. Welcome, Michael.
Hi, Marcus. It's a pleasure to be here.
Lovely to see you as always. So, Neil, starting off with you around team, can you tell us, because we use that term team as opposed to staff and employees as well, maybe you've got a definition in there. Can you, first of all, I get you to tell us a little bit more about your business so people understand your role in team. Then if you could tell us what you define as team, please.
I grew up in the hair industry. Mum was a hairdresser. I still live in the hair, beauty and the aesthetic industry. Today, I would be classified as a business coach, but with a twist, very highly specialized. We only focus on two things with medium to large players in our industry, and that is we either help them increase their turnover or we help them retain more profit. That's simple. So, and as you would appreciate in our industry, it's a very labor-driven business. It's not uncommon for, provisions of laser clinics or salons, hairdressing salons or beauty salons to have a number of staff members. And it's the ability for those people to bring together a community in their business that makes these things work. It's very appropriate that we look at a team conversation today with the background that I have, I suppose, in this business. I grew up surrounded by hairdressers. So, it's an interesting journey. But the definition of team, if I could just add before you jump in there, Marcus, the definition of team for me is actually a very interesting one. And for me, it's a strategy to expand your business.
Wow. I love that idea of a strategy. It's not an afterthought, or it's not something you add on to so that you can execute your strategy. What I'm taking from that is team is a strategy in itself.
Yeah, it's a conscious thought to say, I wish to increase my turnover and I am currently trading hours for money.
Yes.
How can I create leverage? How can I do more money in my hours? And the one way to do that, there are others, but the one key way that most people in business do it is they employ staff.
Yeah, beautiful.
And the good ones create a team.
Yes, okay. So, Michael, listening to all of that, I mean, I love Loyal IT as I hold Loyal IT up to lots of people as a great business that looks after their team, the culture. So when you're thinking about team, is there more to add from what Neil's saying, or how do you think about team?
Yeah, look, I think Neil's perspective was quite spot on. I think that small businesses, get started by people who are passionate about their industry. They're not about performing team building or HR duties. They may not have team leading experience. Maybe they don't know how to build a successful team. But, with Loyal IT, team is everything to our business. We have our culture documented and it's presented to new employees on the induction day. We've built our company around the FISH philosophy, which I hope people have heard about. It's the four major pillars of that are play, be there, make their day, and choose your attitude. And if people are not willing to embrace the philosophy from day one, they'll not work out in our business ultimately. Yeah. So, we went away to a conference over 10 years ago, and we developed our team code of honor. And part of the code of honor, it's about 12 different items, which each kind of specifically lay out what the culture is like at Loyal IT. And I just want to read out, actually, I've got our team team section of that, which I'll just read out to you. Team. So our team is our family at work. We put team before self. we reward great effort. We ask for each other's help when we need it and are ready to help when asked. We accept, respect, and support each other. We look for opportunities to have fun with each other. We enjoy our work and the time we spend together. So really, I think that really summarizes how we see our team.
Yeah, okay. If we go back a step there, talking about, I think it fits in well with what Neil's saying about the strategy of the business.
Yeah.
But if you talk about Mick and Julie, the owners of Loyal IT Solution, who at the time we speak have created a business where they've gone away for 8.5 weeks to do some travel around Australia, going all the way back to the introduction of the fish philosophy culture, their view of why that was necessary in the business. You've been there 15 years, Michael, as well as being general manager for 10. So can you just speak to that decision early on? What brought that about for them?
Well, I joined the company as the 4th employee, and now we're a team of 15. So even back with that small team, I mean, they were very team focused. They wanted to be the business that everyone wanted to work for, and they wanted a scalable framework which could be used for 1, or 1,000 employees. And fish really resonated with them. Sure.
But even if you take a step back from them, like Mick and Julie, in terms of their values as people, we've got this strategic decision, the strategy of building a team to build the business, putting in place the culture of Loyal IT. How do you think that fits with them as people, the culture that's there now?
Oh, well, absolutely reflects their personalities and their ideals. I mean, they're all very community-focused people, and they like to have fun, and they like to be able to present a professional image as well. So, bundling all of that together, it's a bit of a fine line to walk when you want to be professional, but you're also saying have time to play at work as well. So it is really a reflection of them as their personalities.
Great. So we've got the team there, the strategy of building a team to build the business, particularly in Loyal IT's case, the authenticity of that it's not just a reflection, it's the ripple effect of the owners of the business and how they want their lives to be led and the people around them. Neil, if we look at teams or maybe the businesses where the people haven't quite made a team, what are some of the problems that come up when it's not a team?
Yeah, generally speaking, I think a lot of us come into business because of our passion, but very few of us come into our businesses with skill of managing people. Yeah. It's the biggest question I get asked frequently is, why is it that I'm going this way and they appear to be going that way? How do I get everybody on the same barrow? And I suppose it's, for me, it's a little bit about the story of soccer. We all understand the white lines on the soccer field. We understand what each of those quarters mean. There's actually goalposts on the soccer field, which is really cool. Yeah. How many businesses actually have goalposts? But anyway, but the interesting thing is there's also white lines on the side of the field. And could you imagine a game of soccer in a stadium with thousands, tens of thousands of people, and someone kicked the ball over the sideline and the guy on the sideline picked it up and went, oh, it didn't really go out. Here you go, have the ball back. Now, we transfer that into business. And how amazing is it that we put so much time into setting up the white lines on the soccer field, but when someone steps over the line, we don't do anything about it.
Yes.
So, and I also equate this to the owner sitting up in the stadium. Could you imagine the owner of a soccer team running down onto the field and running out to the striker going, no, don't do it this way. I want you to kick it like this. Oh, better still, I'll take the kick. So I use this analogy to say, how can we transfer that story into business? Because the skill of managing a soccer team is the skill that you need to learn to manage a team. Yeah. And ultimately, the key words that I'd like everyone to really grasp here is you accept what you teach, or more importantly, what you teach. You accept it. And what I mean by that is very simply this: if someone shows up at 9:05 every morning, you are accepting them to be late, but therefore you're also teaching them that it's okay to show up at 9:05.
Yes.
And I might add, the quickest way to kill a really great team is to accept poor behaviour from a team member.
So why is that? What in accepting the poor behaviour, how does that lead to the team being destroyed?
Lack of standards. It's like you see the guy run out on the soccer field and one of the guys has got his socks down. The coach doesn't yell out, "Hey, pull up your socks." It's one of the other team members that goes, "Hey, Bill, your socks are down." He goes, "Oh, great, thanks a lot." So this is this cultural thing, that Michael was talking about. It's about, how does everyone in the team hold themselves accountable? How are they showing up?
So it's an interesting one, though. If you talk about that, even to a player that doesn't have their socks up when the rest of the team has their socks up, if that's not addressed, if that isn't held as a standard, what's the impact, the outcome we see from that not being addressed?
It's actually very succinct lowering of standards. That one soccer team player being allowed to play with his socks down sends a message to the team that wasn't real. That big chat we got from the coach at induction day about having your socks up wasn't real. So it creates a chink in the armour. And what we know is water flows where there's least resistance, and the cracks will always attract the water. So this is what starts to degrade the quality of the team. Now, please, I'm not suggesting at any time that you need to be a hard taskmaster, but you do need to be aware that people learn by watching others' behaviours more than what they do by listening to the spoken word.
Yes.
So if you ask them to do this, but then you go about and do that, they'll do more of that and less of this. So we just need to be very aware of these cultural behaviours. And, as Michael was saying before, the culture of the way things are set up is critical, but at the same time, clear boundaries about what's expected and how they are to play the game is a vital part of which most people miss when they start to build a team.
Yeah, I understand it. And in my world, in my language, I'm talking with people, we talk about things like feel the taps, which is that there are the signs that things might be going wrong or going right. And that can be the socks are a little sign. If everyone else has accepted that the socks are a little sign of something going wrong, maybe that's allowing other little things to go wrong. Maybe that means that a big thing goes wrong along the way. Is that what you see happens when?
Yeah, we work to a philosophy in our industry where we say very simply, hire slowly, fire quickly.
Yes.
Most people do it in reverse.
Yes.
Most people hire rapidly because they've got a problem, they've got a gap there. And then, she's not really working out that well. Oh, I don't know what I should do. I wonder if and this scenario peels on. And
Yes.
Everyone wants to improve.
Yeah.
So that's the team leader's responsibility.
Yeah. Michael, how do you deal with that, the team leader, being the team leader, having other team leaders in the business? How does that come into play at Loyal IT? Can you give us some examples of how you show people the way that you want them to behave?
Yeah, really. I mean, it's all about leading by example, I think. With Mick and Julie, they're kind of concentrating. I've kind of come in to be that team leader role so they can actually do what they do best. So Mick, whilst he's a business owner, he's out there on the road fixing computers and seeing clients and so on. Whereas I'm the one who's in there and, making sure the team is working properly, the workflow is working, procedures are done properly, and so on and so forth. So, from the leadership side of things, it's, trying to lead by example. And that is, I'm in before work starts. I'm out, often the last one out the door. And also then when people have problems and so on, I'm always there to kind of help them out when they need it. But I'm not, what did you call it? Kind of helicopter kind of managing over the shoulder. It's, you can hear someone struggling. So it's like, let's go and work this problem out, so that you're kind of being there for them so they don't feel as though that they're alone in what they're taking on as the work. And, I think that it's important to praise people when they've done things correctly and not just be the person who criticizes when they've done things incorrectly.
And can you talk about that? If you could talk about the Friday meeting that you have and some of the things that you do in there, I think would be really useful. And I'd just like to point out, while you're saying Mick's out as a technician, Mick's still the managing director of the business. He chooses to have the general managing day-to-day done by you. He likes being a tech, and then Julian himself as directors set direction and all those sorts of things. It's not like he's left that role of vision of the business to someone else.
Not at all, absolutely. So it's my job to make sure that his vision is seen through.
Yeah. So the team meeting that Loyal has on a Friday, and going back to your point before, Neil, about starting at 9 o'clock, I remember what we call playground rules. One of the playground rules of Loyal IT was the 8:30 meeting starts at 8:30, just in case there was any doubt as to what time that started. That some of the things you do in the meeting that promote the team, the culture, that'd be great to hear.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, first of all, if you're late to the team meeting at 8:30 a.m., you get washing up duty that day. So you got to go out and wash all the dishes and tidy up the kitchenette area. So that usually works as a pretty good deterrent for tardiness. But look, in the meetings every week, I mentioned before that we build our company around the fish philosophy and our code of honour. And at the end of each team meeting, we always go around the table and make sure everyone has an example of how they've implemented the fish philosophy or the code of honour in the week leading up to that meeting. So at the end of each meeting, everyone gets 30 seconds to pick a topic from fish or the code of honour, and then say, this is the exact example of how we've implemented this this week.
Yeah, so it's not just the code and fish. It's not something that's been typed onto a piece of paper, stuck in a folder and shoved on in a desk somewhere. It's actually out there. And Loyal have the code of honour up on big poster-size posters around the office as well to remind people of it. You certainly live the culture there from day to day to build the team. Has that made a difference, do you believe, in the way the team's progressed over the years?
Oh, absolutely. I think that having that framework in place and the expectations, up all around our office, which we see day in, day out, really does help to set the mood of the business and set the expectations for each and every team member. And then being called upon each week to give an example really reinforces that. And it's not just about, oh, well, this is what we do in your induction, and then 10 years later, you've never heard of it again. It's every single week we are reviewing it and giving examples of how we've used it. It's a very powerful tool to be able to ensure people are conforming to the ideals of the business.
Neil, for you, some things that work, and then we'll come back to one specific action, but what drives the team to being a team?
I think the biggest thing from my perspective is understanding your role. The biggest issue I tend to observe in team or personality or personal problems is that people don't understand their role. For example, it's a very unusual for a goalkeeper to kick a goal. Now, might add, it does happen sometimes, but generally speaking, the goalkeeper knows his role. And so does the striker. So does the backs, whatever it might be. And I think it's important that we have that clarity with our team. However, there has been a modern philosophy that's crept into our world that I think, unfortunately, confuses that. And it's this little acronym called KPIs. And oh, by Joes, don't we love KPIs? Well, I have to share, and I do share this with all my clients, and I'd like to share it today as well. And that is that a KPI is actually a finishing line. It's not the starting point, nor is it the behavior or the journey you need to go on. Mm-hmm. That is what we call a KPA, key performance action, or key performance activity. So what tends to happen as managers and people, we sit there and go, right, okay, everybody, right, your KPIs are, I want you to do 10 of these a week, 10 of these a week, 10 of these a week. I'm just picking general examples. Yep. And everyone goes, oh, great. And they go back to their desk or wherever and then they go, right, what do I do to get to there? And that's where the gap of management comes into play. And more importantly, that's where the KPA comes into play. If I was coaching a runner to improve, I wouldn't be hammering and saying, you've got to do a 10-second 100-yard dash. I'd be saying, let's think about your starting position. How can I help you there? Let's think about when you run. Do you lift your arms? Do you lift your legs? What can I do there? And more importantly, I'd talk about their breathing, and I'd start to break down each of the steps that an effective runner needs to execute to run really well. And then finally, I would deal with the most important part. And Kathy Freeman at the Olympics demonstrated this when she walked out in the 100 meters and she put a hood on. She won that race at the start line, not at the finish line, because psychologically she'd already won that race.
Yes.
So, how are our teams showing up? And more importantly, do they understand the 1, 2, 3, or 4 steps they need to take to achieve their KPI? And if they don't, they need support and they need training.
Yep.
They don't need to be bantered by saying you need to achieve your KPI. And if they don't achieve their KPI on a frequent basis, it's the KPA that is at fault. And unfortunately, you're the one who teaches the KPA. So it's a bit of a vicious cycle.
No, absolutely, and it's the first time I've actually heard the term KPA before. So it's
should listen to me more often, Michael.
Yeah, I think I should. And look, I think we probably do it kind of tacitly, though. I mean, there's no real framework that we have in place that does that. I mean, we do have our KPIs in place, but certainly the KPAs sound like a really good way to be able to bring out the best in the team. And certainly it's something that I'd probably like to look at a little bit further to be able to make sure that our team, has something that they can work towards in that way, without having the management or team leaders kind of pointed out to them that this is kind of where they need to be going. And that's kind of how we've been doing it at this point, is really just saying this is how you need to do your job, but it's not really documented anywhere. So that's certainly a takeaway that I'd like to take from this conversation, is to be able to start implementing something like that.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. So just to wrap it up, guys, lots of information there. If there was one action for people to take away, to put in place in their business to make a difference, what would that action be? Michael, if I can start with you, please.
Look, I think my one is really just it's part of the fish philosophy, and that is play. You really need to have fun at work. If you have fun at work, it won't feel like work. It'll be a better environment for everyone. And I think that that happiness or the playfulness does actually get reflected in the way that you deal with your clients, and they want to be part of the fun.
Yeah. Okay. So play. Enjoy your day at work. Set out to achieve that. Thank you. And Neil, for you, what would be one action for people? So we've heard so many from both of you today. One action for people to take away and work on.
So for me, a good leader has a great focus, and that's the word that I'd like people to grasp and to think about. Is your focus being communicated clearly to your team, and do they really know where they're going and what role they play in that focus to achieve what the company's set up to achieve?
Beautiful, beautiful. Thanks very much, Neil. Thank you very much, Michael. Some lots and lots of lessons in this show today. I really appreciate you being here. Some great takeaways there. We will drop the links for Michael and Neil into the shows. It's going to be broadcast on a number of different social media platforms as well as websites. We'll drop their links in there so you can get in contact with them for any of your needs that they might be able to help with. Or of course, you can contact us directly at Amazing Tradies and we'll get you connected through to them. So thanks, guys, for being here. Really appreciate your time and your input to helping everyone's businesses grow and their lives get better. That's what it's all about for me. Thanks very much to the Gateway Motel at Rutherford in the Hunter Valley of New South Wales for allowing us to use their function centre to broadcast today. Have a wonderful day and we'll see you on the next show. Bye.